tell you about the Frog Rappers. They were a group I met when I was in Montreal in Canada. I'd gone over to visit a girl I'd met the previous summer in Bath. She'd come over for a working holiday for a few months. We'd met, she was beautiful. I'd fallen in love with her. And we'd made plans to go and travel the world together. She was back in Montreal, so that was the first port of call. I had to go to Montreal to collect her before we went on. It was all very exciting and very romantic. We were there for I was there for about a week. The weather had changed. It's the first time I'd ever experienced really harsh weather. It was -18 with an icy breeze. It was ridiculous. Or -10 with an icy breeze. I can't quite remember now. I think it took it down to -18 in its, with the breeze. But anyway, it was cold, like you wouldn't believe if you've never experienced that. One night we went to a concert. It was a concert. And so it was a big hall and a stage, and lots of people sat down at this concert. We stood near the back. I felt a bit uncomfortable sitting down because the music that the band was playing was so uplifting, so funky, and so, you know, groovy. It seemed inappropriate to sit down. At the end of each song, the audience didn't scream with delight like I'd been used to in England. They politely clapped. I couldn't believe it. They were better than if they had been playing in any of the venues or clubs that I'd been going to. They'd have been, the place would have gone crazy. They were awesome. And what was interesting about the Frog Rappers was I was particularly drawn to the bass player in the beginning. He could not only play really accurately and funky, but could dance with it really well and in time. And he wasn't really paying any attention to what his hands were doing. He was just really getting into the groove. He was awesome. The rappers were awesome. I don't know what they were saying, it was in French, but it was all in time. But what struck me as really funny is I had a load of musician friends in Bath. There was a couple of bands in Bath. There was at one time Hanover Street and the Sniffing Dogs. And one of my friends used to refer to them as the A-team and the B-team. That was always quite funny. They had different styles of music, and one was notably a lot tighter than the other. Now it's quite interesting, in Montreal on the funk scene there was also an A-team and a B-team. We went to see the A-team a couple of weeks later, but to be honest I preferred the grittiness of the B-team in this circumstance. Anyway, back to the story. We were watching the Frog Rappers, and what was really interesting was everyone who was playing in the band looked like one of my friends, apart from this time who would have been Justin, who used to play saxophone in this one band. He was now the singer, sort of thing, and the guitarist was the bass player. And so it was like I knew everyone on stage, but they were because they looked just like my friends, and but they were all playing different instruments, and I found that really interesting. When we went to afterwards, I was introduced to them, and we went outside for not a joint. They didn't have. Well, it was a joint, but it was a neat joint, a tiny little one. But what they all did was crowd round in a circle and lit this little blunt and passed it to each other after one toke and passed it. And so the whole group got high at the same time. And that was really novel to me and good, but not quite as fulfilling as I've been used to, because over time I've been used to packing my joints with lots of tobacco and having a good go on it before it was passed on. And so a different way of sort of smoking socially. That's just an aside, but anyway, that was the Frog Rappers, and they played this one particular tune which I've kind of got going on here, especially the bass line. Never managed to achieve the kind of grooviness that Fred, that was the bass player's name, got out of it. But it's always stayed with me. I've always loved it, and it's interesting. I didn't end up going travelling with the girl. Her dad didn't want her to leave. He was protective. She'd lost her mum, and so she was the sort of the female of the family, and he wasn't up for me taking her away. So I kind of had to leave that, and when I realised I was on a hiding to nothing, I returned to England and tried to pick it up with a previous girlfriend who was having none of it, seeing as I'd kind of left her for the other one, and so it was all a bit of a disaster. I was a bit of a disaster at that point, looking for love, but there you go.